What's up, everybody? How you doing? It's the big dog named Austin, and we got a big decision as a franchise. When I say we, I mean Chris Ballard, right? Chris Ballard, Shane Steichen. They got a big decision to make this offseason with Kenny Moore, Grover Stewart, Michael Pittman, Gardner Minshew. List goes on. You've got free agents on the team that you would love to have back next season. Hell, Kenny Moore, you just put him on the side of the building in place of Shaquille Leonard, right? I feel like you're going to pay the man. Grover Stewart, man, he is a big difference in that run game. You talk about continuity. That's what Shane Steichen, that's the word he brought up. You talk about continuity with Gus Bradley, you'd think that you'd want to bring back a guy like Grover Stewart. Now, I understand that the coach's vision and the GM's vision are going to be different, but you also have to think that you gotta think you're going to listen to your head coach, especially a guy who needs it to be his system and to be his guys. I think it's going to be really tough this year because also one thing that you're going to have to do, and I think you have to do it, is you have to pay Michael Pittman Jr. I don't know what he's going to want. I've heard numbers tossed around, maybe 4 years, 100 mil. Okay, Colts have a pretty nice cap space right now available. And if they cut ties with a couple of guys like Mo Cox, to name one, then they can clear up some of that cap space. But they still have this much money to play with to pay these guys, and also try to go after other free agents. You talk about Mike Evans. You want to get a great opposite of Michael Pittman Jr. Somebody the opposite side of the field who can do that. And people are talking about maybe trading for Terry McLaurin or getting Mike Evans free agency. It's going to be tough. I think it's because he's going to want big money too. I think this is a big offseason. I wouldn't be surprised if the Colts and Michael Pittman Jr. don't come to an agreement. I think that there is a period of time in February to March, where the Colts can franchise tag Michael Pittman. At that time, if they don't get a deal done, if you got to think that they're going to franchise tag Michael Pittman and he'll play out this 1 year, I guess kind of kick the can down the road a little bit. But regardless, Michael Pittman is, other than Jonathan Taylor, the deep threat, the go get the first down guy has been Pittman. Alec Pierce hasn't shown up. I've been out on Alec Pierce. I've been down on Alec Pierce. I have not said great things about him on this particular YouTube channel. I haven't bashed the guy, but he's just not played to the level that I would hope. Now, Josh Downs is a young and upcoming receiver. Do you go draft? Do you keep Michael Pittman? Do you pay Michael Pittman and go strictly draft and not worry about the free agents? Or do you want to get more established guys to support and surround Anthony Richardson? That's going to be the main concern. That was the main concern last year, was getting the support to surround Anthony Richardson. Seeing what you had last year, Michael Pittman was a big part of your offense, especially when Jonathan Taylor went down. When Michael Pittman wasn't in the game, this was prevalent against Atlanta, a game that really came back and bit you in the ass. You needed a guy like Michael Pittman. You didn't have him. You didn't have that threat on that 3rd and 7. Like, hey, go get it 50-50 ball. Like, you didn't have that. So you can't let that leave your building when you already have that skill set and you have it in your locker room and on your team. You can't let that leave your building. So I've got to think the Colts are going to pay the man. I really do. I think that they should go ahead and just pay him. Just, here you go. But one guy's going to want one thing, and the team, they've got to make the business decision. So what it will come down to? It could come down to being the franchise tag. Not many teams nowadays use the franchise tag. The last time the Indianapolis Colts used the franchise tag was in 2015 when they used it on Pat McAfee. So that was 9 years ago now. And that was Ryan Grigson era. Pat McAfee's on ESPN now. He's not putting balls anymore. That just shows how long it's been since the Colts have used the franchise tag. But they're in a unique situation now where it could be. And they might not use it on Michael Pittman. They could use it on a guy like Grover Stewart or a guy like Kenny Moore. But I think that means they're going to be making the combined top 5 salaries of their position. The average of that, if that makes any sense. So the average of the top 5 combined, the combined average of the top 5 highest paid players of that position. I hope that makes sense. I don't think I'm saying it right. I think I got it out the last time. I think that sounded right. But that's how it works out. So if you franchise tag a guy, they're going to get some decent money. Usually you don't want to franchise tag guys. Guys don't like the franchise tag. Some guys will hold out. Now, I don't necessarily think that Michael Pittman Jr. would do that. I don't know. He could. Running back, like with Jonathan Taylor last year versus wide receiver, I feel like it's a little different. I could be wrong. That's just things I've heard in the media around town, around Indy. But you definitely... And one thing Michael Pittman Jr. has kind of, I feel like, said in frustration in the past is he's never like had a consistent quarterback his entire career. So he started out with Phillip Rivers, and then Carson Wentz, and then who was it last year? Matt Ryan and Sam Ehlinger, and this year it was Anthony Richardson and Gardner Minshew. I mean, Gardner Minshew might have been his longest guy. I'm kidding, because of course it was Phillip Rivers. But that's all I'm saying is like he's had a carousel of quarterbacks. He wants some consistency. I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Pittman Jr. wants to test free agency just to get, just to see what his market value is. He could get the best value for himself with the Colts, but maybe he gets a good deal with somebody like Kansas City, who, oh, by the way, is looking for a receiver. I know that they're on the run that they're on right now. They're in the Super Bowl. Travis Kelce is balling, okay? I know that they're on the run, but don't you think that they'd love to add another weapon? Don't you think they'd love to add another deep threat wide receiver or another great sure-handed wide receiver with the amount of drops that the Kansas City Chiefs have had this year? I'm sure that they'd love to give a guy like Michael Pittman Jr. his bag. So just keep that in mind going into free agency this year, that there's going to be a lot of crazy things going on. And I think, no matter how this game goes, I legitimately think, unless Andy Reid retires, I think the Kansas City Chiefs are only going to get better. And that's crazy to think, because I think that they're going to get a wide receiver. Is Travis Kelce going to retire? I don't think so. If Andy Reid retires, then we can talk about the Kansas City Chiefs maybe taking a step back. But until that happens, I think in free agency, the Kansas City Chiefs can only get better. Seriously. But that's why you've got to make those moves. You got to make those big flash moves. You got to take those chances because, you never know. Some teams last year, they flip and they were the worst team in the league last year, and now they're the best team, or one of the best teams in the league last year, all because they spent money and they went out and they got a couple of guys. A couple of guys that changed the locker room, changed the attitude, and changed the culture. And I feel like that's what Michael Pittman brings to your locker room, is he is a guy who can bring positive vibes to all of what I just mentioned. So that's all I got. I just want you guys to think about that. I want you guys to, hopefully we sign Michael Pittman, because I'd love to get Michael Pittman back in blue and white, but you never know. It's a cruel business. It's a cruel world. I hope you enjoyed. I finally hit 200 subscribers, so thank you all very much. Man, 200. That's awesome. So thank you very much to all 200 of you. Continue to like, comment, get your friends, get your buddies, get your pets. I know y'all made YouTube channels for your pets, so when you leave the house and play YouTube for them, it plays recommends for them, so it's not messing your recommendations up. Or is that just me? I got 5 animals, and so when I leave the house, sometimes the YouTube's on. I don't know. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm the big dog named Austin. I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Go Colts!